All right. The live stream is going, which is pretty exciting. It has been a hectic day of just exhaustion and too much stuff to do. But I did manage to start thumbnails for my comic, so I'm pretty excited for page 35, which is what we're roughing out right now. And I'll show you guys in a second, but it's like I'm actually really excited about it because I'm doing something I initially did. It was one of those moments where, like, this morning I started thinking about it. I kind of reviewed the script like right before work because yesterday I just slept the night, which is actually probably pretty healthy because I can tell I'm like slightly close to like total exhaustion. um, and then after that, I basically had done some thumbnails like when I got home, and I was really excited about it. Oh, Philip said there he is. There was a delayed start. Okay, well maybe some of this stuff got cut, so that's okay. I'll kind of reiterate. Well, anyhow, point being, it yesterday was exhausted. Ended up going to sleep, and then today I decided to kind of, and then Jim said, hello, good night. I'll watch this in the morning. Make sure you say lots of great things about unicornism. Yeah, I need to do the John Henry unicorn cover at some point. But I will say you guys should check out Jim Lujan's stuff about unicornians and all that fun stuff. So anyhow, so I started roughing out from the script, page 35, and I like broke it down to text this morning before work. And then it's been like dawning on me throughout the day. Like I kind of had a rough idea from the thumbnail of what I could do with the page. And then it dawned on me that I wanted to do something similar to what I did for the park poster, which is like a graphic design that I did, an illustration comic. It's like a one-page poster comic that I did where it's showing a couple walking throughout a park, and the whole scene is one unified scene of the park, and it's split into like 20 something panels. It was reprinted by like a literary journal as a poster that came with it called the Relief Journal. And there's like a link to that in my store section on my site. But anyhow, I'm always looking for opportunities to do this, like what I call like the Frank King trick in comics. And I think I found it. So let's get into it anyhow. But full disclosure, just pretty exhausted. So this is going to be a power through night, like where you're showing up, you're doing the work, and who knows how good the work will come out. But I still think it's important to kind of show up and power through. So, all right. So let me go ahead and pull this up. And that's strange that isn't working. Hang on a second. Let me go ahead and okay. So this is the Frank King thing that I was talking about. This is a brilliant trick that cartoonists have utilized. Like Gasoline Alley was a strip in the early 1900s by an artist named Frank King. And what I love about his paneling in this is, as you can see, it's like a bunch of separate panels, but they make a broader, larger picture. And so I love the idea of kind of utilizing that and doing something like that with this scene. And so what I'm going to do is kind of go through the script, like the section of the script, and then maybe you guys will see where I'm coming from and like in kind of utilizing this. But from this, my initial thumbnail was this first one, which is like down here, and I kind of did off stream. And then I finally worked it out on this thumbnail, which looks like a jarbled mess, but I think I worked out the sequence. So I think I'm ready to go to rough. There's a ton of references I already have that we had looked up. There's a bunch of characters, historical characters in this, because it's a book called Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And so like the book itself is a historical fiction book. So like there's a ton of research that kind of needed to go into this page. Luckily, a lot of it was already provided by the author, Lavender. And then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff. Philip was saying, I wonder if he's related to Glenn King. Oh, well, so Glenn Keane, I guess it's different. So you're saying Keane, and this guy is Frank King. So I don't think they're related. Yeah, so anyhow. Um, but I can understand because when I'm saying king, it sounds like I'm saying keen. So that makes a lot of sense. That's the downside of an audio thing. Oh, and then Philip was saying, did you say keen or king? Oh, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, if you want to ever like go down a rabbit hole of just like a genius cartoonist, check out this like Frank King, and check out he did a comic called Walt and Skeezix in like the early 1900s, and it's amazing. It's like incredible. And this is about the same time that I don't even know why I have these on. Hang on a sec. I just realized those were like going to be slightly uncomfortable to have on. And there's no purpose in having those on because this is going to be a rough stream. So I'm not planning on having a bunch of guests or anything on stream. But anyhow, so why not be comfortable? Why have headphones on? So anyhow, where was I? Oh yeah. So he also did a comic called Walt and Skeezix that's like him living a future with his son that he didn't actually get to live with. I think his son either died or like I think his son died when his son was really little, and then he proceeded to make this comic strip for about 40 years of his relationship with his son in his head, called Walton Skeezix. They were side characters that were in Gasoline Alley, and then he spent like a good chunk of his life like kind of building this whole world. It's really incredible. It's amazing work too, and it's beautiful. Very influential on a lot of later comic strips. But he was doing stuff like this that you don't see a lot of cartoonists do nowadays, and that's something I'm always keeping an eye out as a cartoonist, is like opportunities to kind of do things that only comics can do. Because imagine trying to do something like this in video. It just, I guess you could in theory, but like this is a very comic book page. Like there's not a way to kind of make this into anything but a comic book. So that's what I'm planning on doing today. Let's read the script and then kind of get into it. So the last page that we roughed out, just to kind of put us in place. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I do have other graphic novels if you guys are watching this. So if you're curious about my other work, you can just go to joshuakemble.com, quarterlystories.com, or jacobsapartment.com. But joshuakemble.com, Jacob's Apartment, and Quarterly Stories are linked to there. And those are my two graphic novels that I have out currently. This will be my third full graphic novel that I've done. And I've done a ton of like short comics and stuff that are on that site too. And I'll probably play trailers for Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories as this progresses, as I usually do on the stream. But anyhow, so let's get into the meat of this. Okay, so on the previous page of Not Death But Love, what we roughed out was basically, you know, like Elizabeth's really upset because she's been writing her father letters. Her father is really upset because Elizabeth eloped with Robert and he didn't approve of her dating Robert Browning. And so they eloped, they got married, and they went to Italy, and then she got pregnant. And so she is like realizing that she's got like her father's grandson coming. She starts writing him obsessively, and we've seen that in here. She's like writing a bunch of letters to her family, trying to reach out to her father. And then in the last page, we saw that there were a lot of return to sender envelopes sent back to her. So her father has like shut her off. He's not taking her letters. And so Robert very, very kindly is like kind of upset about this and decides like, no, you know what? We're going to go to England. We'll just bring Penn, the younger, their child, to meet her family. And his argument is like, how is he going to shun this beautiful child, like once he sees them. So now we're going to flash forward. So she's kind of relieved that they're going to go to England and try to like kind of force the meeting with the family. And so now we are at this point where it's going to jump to page 35, which is Robert and Elizabeth walk along a well manicured tree lined path. Elizabeth holds Penn's hand. Her face lights up with joy as she sees Arabelle, followed by her other siblings, Henrietta, Charles, John, Stormy, and Alfred, Daisy. So I have references for Henrietta. We could not for the life of us find any reference images of Charles, John, Stormy. If you guys find any pictures of Charles John Barrett, like if you're able to dig that up, let me know. But it's, as far as we're concerned, it seems like those are not in existence. And then we've got Alfred, Daisy, which we have a reference of, which is great. So caption says Regent's Park, London, 1851. And then that's going to, so what I'm envisioning is that I kind of sketched out at the top here. And we have a bunch of references for Regent's Park too. So I'll kind of show you guys just a little bit of the references that I've found. So that's cool. So basically, I'm going to have like the top panel be kind of like this bridge view where we're going to have them on this side of the bridge, like Robert and Elizabeth. And then we're going to have Arabelle and her family on this side of the bridge. And I'm going to have like the skyline up here, right, on the page. So then, in theory, I know this is a lot of like arrows and stuff, but I'm working this out in my head a little bit too. So then the path is going to curve around here this way from the bridge, and then it's going to lead you to read it in a Z pattern as they walk in a Z pattern through a pattern in the park, so that it can kind of, hopefully, in theory, do this. So that's what we're going to rough today. Like I've got my thumbnail that's loosely mapped this out. It's a very rough thumbnail, but it has loosely roughed this out. And so we're just going to kind of get into it and start drawing and hopefully kind of make this work. But it should be a pretty challenging page. Oh, let me go ahead and read the rest of the script, and then we'll break it down into roughs from our thumbnail. So it's going to say caption, Regent's Park, London, 1851. And then it's going to say Arabelle rushes to joyfully embrace Elizabeth, followed by Henrietta. There's a lot of actions going on in this too. Elizabeth is going to say, oh, how I've missed you. She gestures to her family. Elizabeth's going to say, shake hands with my Robert. And this is Robert Weidman, but we call him Penn. And that's her pointing to her son. Penn, these are your aunts and uncles. So she's going to kind of introduce them. Arabelle's going to embrace Robert. Arabelle's going to say, it is good to see you again. Will you forgive us if we were a little slow to come round to the idea of you? I've never seen Ba so well. And so she's commenting on Ba having good health. Ba is their nickname for Robert. I'm sorry, for Elizabeth. For Elizabeth, not Robert. And then Robert's going to say, there's nothing to forgive. Thank you for your letters. They have been a comfort to Ba and to me. And then there's embracing and handshaking all around. Henrietta and Arabelle coo over their nephews. So all of that is what I'm going to try to map out on this page. And so we're going to kind of get into it. And it should be a really exciting one. And again, we're going to try to do something that only comics can do. And I think that's pretty exciting. It's an exciting possibility. So the first thing I'm going to do a page like this is I'm probably going to work out the panels. I'm going to draw the park like background as like a whole background. And then from there, we'll start, I'll probably on another layer draw in like magenta or something to work out the characters, which is going to be a whole challenge in itself too, because there's a lot of costumes and things like that. And there's a feel I want to have of it. And so I have a lot of references of the park and all that kind of stuff pulled up. So now it's on to this crazy challenge. And my hope is that in theory, I'll be able to do this. The rough alone might take longer than tonight, but in theory, if I'm like loose and I keep at it, I should be able to knock this out tonight. So we'll see. So I'm going to move this down. I'm going to go ahead and put this at the top. I'm going to move the, let's move the thumbnail in a little bit more of a visible area. I don't need all these extras either. I think I've pretty much abandoned the old thumbnail. Ye old thumbnail. That's me being very historically accurate. And I'm pretty excited about getting into this. Again, like I love the opportunity to try something different. And here's the other thing about art. And I mean, I think Jim could attest to this too. I'm sure there's been times, I don't know if Jim is still listening in the chats, but I'm sure there's times in animation where you like invest a ton of time into like a scene or a sequence. And then when it comes to like the cutting floor where you're like editing it all together, you're like, oh, that actually didn't work. And so it's like, it was kind of a waste of time, but in a weird way, it's also very valuable. And it's part of kind of making movies or film or like anything, is like, you kind of have to take risks a little bit. So that's what we're doing here, is we're taking a risk that hopefully will end up with a page that's compelling and doing something that only comics can do. And also is kind of sticking with the formula of the pages prior. So, all right. Well, let's get into this. There's some really easy stuff we can start with. I'm going to just go ahead and make a new thing, a new layer, and this is going to just be called rough. And let's get into it. How are you doing, Philip? I hope you're doing good. And I also, do hope I didn't start off too bummed out. I just like, I am definitely an exhausted person today. I think I was really tired yesterday too. So it's an interesting thing. I like being kind of transparent about that, because I feel like a lot of people are under the impression like you have to be feeling like 110% to like work on these things. And I think that's actually one of those traps where you can end up, waiting for the perfect time and then being like, wait a minute, there is no perfect time. So I'd rather take advantage of the time I have. Okay, so this is going to say Regent's Park. I like the idea of it being kind of centered, so we're going to start with that. And this is going to be that. I'm just blocking in what I know the lettering looks like on these sections. It's kind of a sans serif font. Regent's Park. Turn this down a little bit too. Have some lighting in here, and that lighting was pretty extreme. It was like starting to actually hurt my eyes. Okay. I think that's a little better. All right. So let's get into this. Regent's Park. And this will say London, 1851. And that'll be that part. And these are always done with like a like on a kind of older sort of looking thing. So, okay, we've got that kind of established roughly for the rough, not too bad. This is like the easiest part that I will ever experience on this rough. Did I draw that on the wrong layer? Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, I didn't. That's good to know. Okay, so I kind of like this idea of this wide panel where we're going to see. Philip said, I'm still dealing with back pain, unfortunately. I'm frustrated. It's frustrating because I have to go to work through it. Yeah, that's brutal. Okay. We're going to have roughly, again, this is a rough, but I think basically what I had in mind here is that we'd have like, we're going to have like a tree sort of here that's going to follow through the image. There's going to be like a tree of some kind. It might be too big of a tree. We're going to have our bridge. There's going to be let's see here. This doesn't arch as much. This is more of like a straight bridge, actually. It's kind of good to know. There's going to be a path that I want to have kind of twirl around there. So that's going to be the catch, is like the path is going to go around the tree. The tree is going to cut off the path. So the tree is actually going to be more like here. And then we're going to have our pathway kind of join over here. But I want the path to lead down to the next panel. That's going to be the catch. And I think in my rough, I actually had that set up so that, which you can see down there, where in my own little chicken scratch way, it's saying like, hey, this section is going to show the pathway kind of curl around. So then we're going to have our city. My cityscape's going to be here. I'm just starting with like really general shapes to kind of work things out. There's definitely like a skyline of some kind here. It's not that high though, so it's usually I don't want to get into erasing when I'm going this loose at first, but it doesn't hurt at that point to just kind of erase a misstep. And we're going to have like our Capitol building thing, whatever that is. This is definitely in England, so if we were doing like a very cliche kind of sequence, like even though it's not really visible from there, you'd have like Big Ben and like like the London skyline somehow. Okay. But I do want it to be somewhat historically accurate. So we're going to have like a bush here. This is going to be more of that that tree. This isn't going to be exact because it's going to need to bend and arc to kind of fit the comic. So this is going to have some dimension to it. So we're going to have that. And this is going to be all really crappy fake perspective. I could do full out like isometric perspective to just kind of fake this, but I feel like I want to do something a little more artistic that kind of bends and waves a little bit with it. This is going to have like a tree here. We're going to have another tree here. I have another tree here. It's kind of going to be there. We're going to have to do some research on them eventually so that they can like walk through this sequence, but I think that'll do it for this scene. Okay. Then I need to have this pathway that's going to bend. This is also going to have a little bit of that. There's definitely going to be some water here too. I want a pathway that's going to bend over here, but I don't want it to be as wide as it is in that picture. And then that path is going to kind of work from over here. Should be kind of a crazy one. Philip said, despite that, I'm sitting in a comfortable chair at the moment and working on some artwork of my own. Nice. We're both, I mean, if you're overpowering back pain, that makes me feel encouraged to kind of, I think that's one of the advantages of art community is like we're all kind of dealing with our struggles. Back pain sounds like one of the worst ones that you could have, but if we can all overcome those obstacles together, make some art, that's pretty cool, is all I'm saying. Okay, that's going to be the first panel. So I think what I'll do, I'm wondering if I should do, let's just rough them out panel by panel. I think that might actually work really well. Okay, so this is going to have her siblings. Well, first I guess before we place them in here, I guess I'll do, Robert is going to be, how tall would Robert be? Robert's probably going to be walking, where did I have him? I was going to have him walking on the right or on the left. Okay. We're going to exaggerate the height of the bridge a little bit too. So Robert will be walking here to the left. So he's going to be walking. Maybe more strolling. Maybe his foot's not quite there. And then Elizabeth is going to be here or here. Where do I want her to be? That's going to be interesting. She's going to be holding Penn's hand, so it might be nice if she's like here. Maybe she's looking down towards Penn. And Penn is going to be here. Cool. We're just kind of roughing this out. So start rough and loose, and then we'll tighten up in a little bit. Then we're going to have Henrietta, Arabelle. Oh, she's going to be walking too. We're going to have Arabelle here. Arabelle is going to be walking quickly. And then followed by Henrietta, who will be here. Henrietta is going to be here. We're going to have Charles John Stormy will be here. I think I'll have him wearing like a cool hat because I don't have the option to do hats that often, like cool hats. It's pretty awesome. And this will be kind of walking. And then he's like a giant now. It's a little too tall, my dude. And then we're going to have who else? Alfred Daisy. It's going to have a little bit of overlap there, but might be good to have. Okay. So again, we're just loosely like mapping this out right now. All right. So now I want to get in there and start adding detail, but I think that I want to map out the figures real quick, work that out, and then we'll get into the background. It's weird. I was thinking about working in reverse, but I actually think this will work even better. So let's start with, let's see if we can find the characters because they're all over the place here. So we've got, I believe I have, that's Alfred, Henrietta. But I thought I had brought in some reference images of that's good. Okay, that's Elizabeth. Did I bring in reference images of Penn? That's the catch. Because I know I have a better one of Penn than that specific one. Although I like that outfit, so let's use this for Penn. Penn's hair is a little longer. So we'll keep that in mind. But I actually think this one's working. So, and I like that outfit for Elizabeth. So I'm going to bring Elizabeth up a little bit so I can doodle in the details on Elizabeth. And then let's see if we can find where I put Penn. Aha, there we go. There's Robert, aka Penn. All right, let's get into it. Hopefully you guys can see why this rough might take a little bit longer than other roughs. Not that it should, but it could. Okay, so this is going to be Elizabeth. She's going to be actually looking toward, have her looking down to her son. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to have her kind of looking down at her son, smiling. Just going to kind of break this through. Okay. Don't like what I did with her eyes there. Tough too because we're drawing really small and this is super noodly rough. So there we go. There we go. Much better. And this will be, she's wearing this kind of fur coat. I think I'll have her hand kind of here too, like holding the fur coat, because I feel like you'd do that, like kind of clasp it. There's going to be a carriage ride scene coming up too, so this has been a beast of a comic to draw, and I just made it twice more challenging by adding this kind of weird sequential challenge to it. But I think it's important to do, you know. I think we need to challenge ourselves and try something weird. Honestly, the drawings themselves shouldn't be too bad for this. It's just more like working out the details, stitching it all together. So she's going to be holding her son's hand. And this is an interesting dress because it kind of closes here, or kind of closes here, but there's like this is definitely one of those, like, it's got like a corset or whatever that is that kind of makes the back half like stick out a lot. So there we go. And then we're going to have this crazy giant skirt that I'm going to guess has a second line to it. Okay. Okay, now let's get pen worked in there. We're getting there, guys. So that was Elizabeth. I can disappear that reference. I'm guessing this page is going to take a while. I thought this might be something to finish tonight, but this page might take quite a bit of time. Okay, so then we're going to have Robert. Oh, Robert. Well, let's draw a pen real quick. Let me move this down a little bit, and we'll kind of peek at. It's more for Pen's outfit, so shouldn't be too bad. Okay, and we'll go back to the rough. And here it's going to be him just kind of arms. He's holding hands with his mom. He's got like this kind of puffy sleeve shirt going. Gonna have him. And it doesn't need to be like crazy detailed, you know, just a little bit. Okay, he's gonna have this crazy thing. I don't even know what this is. That's like a Renaissance style. I didn't even know those were still in fashion back then. Sort of like Prince robe kind of thing. With puffy sleeves and his little hand. And then he will also be probably wearing, like, I'm guessing it'll be like a sort of dress, because she likes to dress him in dresses. So there's pen. We got pen going there. This is like a weird kind of 3-tube outfit too. So maybe I'll take a liberty here. There was a image that I found that's like an old kind of an impressionist painting. I know it's here somewhere. There it is. And I was thinking I'd like to have it have like a little bit of that vibe, like a parasol. So I don't mind the idea of having like a parasol here. Maybe she'll be holding a parasol. It could be kind of here. I could ditch the parasol too, but I think I like the idea of her kind of holding a parasol. Maybe it's got like a... All right. Got her, and now we're going to have Robert. We can turn off that image of her because we don't need it anymore for now. And I can move Robert a little bit closer. And we'll kind of get into Robert. Again, this is a rough, not a final. But it's so important on a complex page like this. I think roughs are really almost like quintessential. So here we go. We're going to have, again, like trying to do things that only comics can do. And when I'm doing stuff like this, that's one of the reasons I won't like often have guests on or like go on anyone else's show if I'm working on something this complex, because it just requires a lot of deep thinking. So I can kind of talk and work on it at the same time, but I wouldn't be able to like carry a crazy conversation with another person because you're working out so many like logistics, like trying to kind of do a lot of observation of like a character, work out like a scene. It's just a little harder to kind of do this type of thing with a full out conversation going. So this is why when I do these, I do those things. Which apparently, that's with a W, says hello. How's it going? Hope all is well. Yeah, so like I'm thinking this is going to work really well for Regency Park. We're kind of having them. We're starting to work out what that's going to look like. I want him to be smiling too. And we're going to have his hand kind of back here casually, a little more casual posture. And then we're going to have maybe here maybe he can be strolling just a little bit. I don't want him to be strutting though, you know. Yeah, which was saying that's how you spell it. I just wanted to be clear for any sort of algorithm to not think I was saying a different word. And that was the reason for specifying the W. Philip was saying, I I thought it was kind of unusual that there's no one else here tonight. Normally you get your regulars when you go live. That's true. I think more people will be showing up, potentially, depending. I mean, it's hard to say, honestly, with these streams. I definitely also think the weekends are a lot more active. But we got some people watching and some excitement. But I'm pretty stoked about the page here. And like, honestly, today is going to be pretty good. I think I usually start my stream a little bit earlier too, which is kind of interesting. So, okay. So we've got a couple things going. I'm going to go ahead and close the that reference, and now we're getting to a point where I can at least start filling out a little bit of this side of the park. But I kind of want to finish. I want to get them worked out as well, and I think that'll be really key. So we'll see if this works. We have over here on the left, we've got Robert, Elizabeth, and little Penn, and then we've got to do Arabelle, Henrietta, Charles, John, Stormy, and Alfred. So that's going to be interesting. Which asked, what do you think about split personality disorder? I don't really know much about split personality disorder. I definitely write a lot about sort of mental illness and stuff like that. So that is definitely something I like to address in my writing, but I've never known someone with that disorder, and it sounds like a rough one. But I do think it's good to like sort of destigmatize conversations about mental health. And so I'm sure that like, even with that, it's probably something that needs more like advocacy and people actually talking about it more openly with like, you know, seeking solutions and therapy and stuff like that. I think, yeah. So anyhow, we're going to do our part here with, we'll start with Arabelle. So I have to find Arabelle in here. And there is Arabelle. Arabelle, we drew quite a bit ago, and we decided to kind of make her like almost blonde because she can wind up looking quite a bit like her sister. And we're working on roughs right now for Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And we're roughing out page 35, which is going to be a beast. I think it's 35. Let me double check. It's kind of cool. Okay, yeah, we are roughing page 35. So anyhow, we'll kind of get into rocking some business and finding Arabelle out. Little off topic, I learned today that Clip Studio Paint will be changing to a subscription format like Photoshop instead of a one-time payment. I was a little annoyed. Oh, because you've been using Clip Studio a lot, huh? Yeah, I think the subscription format is here to stay, as much as I dislike it myself. I think it's just much more profitable. You know, if you think about it, it's like they force you to have to constantly re-up for a subscription. And I mean, I guess one could make the argument that it's like potentially good. I mean, I wouldn't, but I could see the one benefit that people might say is that it would like kind of cause like more innovation. In theory, because you know they have a constant stream that's supporting their developers, so they could constantly improve and expedite the process. But to me, I wouldn't buy that as an excuse, because I don't like the subscription model. But I could see somebody making that argument. I'm sure that's the argument Adobe makes, you know. Yeah, Philip was saying, yeah, I agree. I had a feeling they'd do that eventually. Yeah, it's just kind of a shame that they'll. Well, I'm wondering what they'll do with the previous people. Like, what are they going to do in regards to that? So here's Arabelle. She's going to be walking across the. There, she's got like very similar hair to Elizabeth, like a lot of those curls, but she's gonna have like she's gonna have like a headband. And I think she's gonna have probably the same outfit that she had in the last scene, just so that she was in, so that we can hopefully at least subconsciously make the connection of who it is. So if you purchase the program, you can still keep it without making monthly, yearly payments, but you won't get any updates. Yeah, so basically it's effectively getting you to not do the program. I feel like we lost which is kind of funny. I don't know. Did we lose you? What brings you to the channel if we didn't? So a lot of interesting stuff. All right, so we're gonna do our here she's gonna be wearing that same outfit that we're seeing here. And I have this arm back doing a similar kind of thing. That's gonna have like the puffy sleeve and the hand. And then we're gonna do our she's gonna have her belt. And her skirt is gonna be kind of flowing quite a bit. So there's Arabelle. And again, this is a rough. So we're just kind of working out the sequence here. We're almost at the hour mark and we haven't even finished the characters from panel one. Although panel one is like a long, wide panel and we're figuring things out. All right. And then apparently we have, wow, I feel like we're getting hit with some pretty funny screen names. There's somebody with the name Flubber Out My Butthole. Wow. Philip was saying, sorry, I haven't responded, which this is sort of an art channel and we're working on our own projects during Josh's stream. Yeah. We're just kind of drawing stuff. So that's fun. All right. So we're going to do Henrietta. And Henrietta is going to be next. So Flubber, I'm just going to call you Flubber. Hey guys, I'm silly and I'm here too. Well, good for you. I'm glad you're silly. That's pretty fun. So Henrietta is going to be here. I think we're going to look at, this is what Henrietta looks like. So which one should we go with? I think this one looks a little more recognizable and decipherable. So this is a historical picture of Elizabeth Barrett Browning's other sister, Henrietta. So there we go. And we're going to get back to our drawing of roughs. The world is better with some silliness. All right. So what do we got here? What are you working on, Philip? I'm kind of curious. All right. Henrietta is, okay. We've got this going with the rough. Flubber said, if anyone's uncomfortable with my name, just tell me and I'll change it. I don't care. I think most of us are pretty uneasily shocked or anything. It's a funny name. All right. I'm curious what Philip's working on, though. So this is going to be Henrietta. And I think she's going to have, she has like a shorter, I mean, it's like, this is going to be such a small panel, but she has like a shorter sort of chin goes into the neck sort of thing going. And then she definitely has this like kind of hairline that's going back. And we're going to have it kind of go like this. Chin into neck. I think she looks like she'll be rocking a parasol as well. So I think that's what I'll do. Have the parasol. These were in fashion in Victorian times. So Flubber said, have you ever seen the movie? I have not seen the remake of that movie because it just seems ridiculous, but I grew up watching the Disney one for sure. The old school one, I think it was black and white. I think it was just called The Mad Professor, from what I recall. So I've been working on commissions this last week. This is what Philip said. and needed a break. So I'm just doing sort of faux movie style posters for fun. It's something I want to make for convention merch next year. Nice. Faux movie posters is a good way to go, honestly. So I think this is going to be, I'm guessing these sleeves actually aren't going to be big there because the sleeves seem to be almost like they puff out and then they get slimmer. And we're going to have, cool. And then this is going to be another dress thing because Victorian women had to wear these insanely crazy dresses. So there we go. And again, just kind of working out the rough. Okay. This dude, we don't need a reference for because we don't have any reference for him. So this, I think this next guy is going to be Charles John Stormy. So I'm going to make him a Victorian gentleman with a rad mustache. Yeah, Philip was saying, I was going to say, I saw the original years ago with Fred McMurray, but never saw the remake either. Yeah, it's not bad. So this is going to just be, I'll probably base this loosely on this gentleman right here. So we're going to have this just be like a good old flat straw hat. And I'm going to give him like a cool, rad, curly mustache. Maybe he'll be a little bit portly. Just a little bit. Because I have a lot of folks here. He's going to be wearing, like the Victorian guys all had this like crazy high collar. That was sort of the trend at the time. And I think maybe he'll have a cane or something. I mean, what good gentleman doesn't have a cane at this point for fashion? I also think he was the heir to Elizabeth's father's fortune, so that won't be bad to kind of have that highlighted. It's a little more well-to-do. Is his arm going to be a little bit over here? Yep, it will. And we're just kind of getting that sequence worked out. And we're almost at the hour mark. Man, it's gone fast. This is the beauty of drawing, is like you kind of get into these zones and the next thing you know, you're like, yeah, I have like 2 hours left of the night. But I did start my stream much later than usual because I was working out how I was going to do this. Like page, like the Frank King type thing. And we'll just go ahead and have this guy have a little bit of shadow. That'll be helpful. The light source, I'm imagining, is kind of behind them. She'll be more shrouded in shadow. Cool. Getting so much closer, you guys. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put on the trailer for Jacob's apartment. And I appreciate you guys who are hanging out. So I'll be right back. If you haven't checked this book out, I encourage you to check it out. And I will just go ahead and play that trailer. And I'll be right back with a refill of coffee, and we'll finish at least this panel. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, and I think I'm going to do one more just so I can get a refill of coffee. So this is the trailer for 2 stories, and then I'll be right back and we'll draw. All right, now we just need to find Alfred. There's Alfred. Good old Alfred. So this is Alfred Daisy, which is another sibling, and he will be the last in line. So initially I thought this would be a lady, but this is going to be Alfred. So just turn this little blob into him. And again, like, we don't need perfect likenesses at this size. I do like the idea of kind of capturing that hair as best I can from like a distance. And then we're going to have sort of walking. So will be wearing a gentleman's jacket as well, but this will be a light jacket. Posture a little lower. And I'm going to just have the hand back. And this hand back here. And they had these long tail coats back then. So long tail coat. And he is going to have his kind of walking going. Oh my gosh. What is that? I don't know if you guys saw that blob. Don't worry, I'll straighten that out. Definitely want to at least have a semblance of this kind of making sense. All right. It is a rough, but it's good to have roughs make a little bit of sense. Okay, so there we go. We have our main characters kind of throughout. All right. And they will actually be the crowd that is at the park. So we're going to kind of get into it a little more with working out the scene. So first things first is going to be this bridge. So let's kind of clean that up a little bit. And I'm going to have the bridge be, what we'll do is we'll start by drawing the base of the bridge. And again, this is just a rough, but it's not going to hurt to kind of have sort of worked out. So we have the base of the bridge. And the base of the bridge is going to go all the way back into these things, like midway. Actually, it looks like it goes all the way back. All the way back. Good. Okay. And then the other side of the bridge is going to kind of go that way. That's just kind of like a little bit of the vanishing point or whatever. We're not going to be like meticulous about the stuff. But we're going to get into this. So the bridge is going to be just a little bit below his head. That's where I want it to be. In theory, in reality, it's a thicker bridge, but I think we can get away with sort of making it like a slimmer bridge. So we're going to have that. That's going to be, again, this is a rough, so I'm not even going to draw like the outer edge. I'm just going to use like a thicker, maybe not that thick of a brush. And then we're going to do our little baseline. I also want to do this on a different layer just in case I err. That way I can kind of erase out things I need to erase out. So let's go ahead and get those lines that are going to be the railing eventually. We're not measuring them out or anything. And then we're going to just do our little hatch marks. This is like the bridge. It's got like kind of a grating on it. The importance for this page is to show the publisher what the final is going to look like in a very rough fashion. A page like this will take a long ass time to execute though. So I am biting off a little bit of work here. But that's sort of the nature of what I do with comics. like I could do a simpler solution, but I like doing things in comics that only comics can do. It's half of why I do comics, you know. Then this is going to be, let's see here. So that goes to like about here. Go ahead and do the this should have like a little bit of a sense of I want to have some shrubbery here. Shrubbery. If you say shrubbery, it's like it requires a Monty Python reference. One cannot say shrubbery without referencing Monty Python. Okay, and now we're going to actually work out this tree a little bit more, at least the top of it. I like the idea of it kind of being like a midway kind of thing. And I'm kind of eager to get done with these roughs and get into pencils, but it's like you kind of have to just go with what you can. There's some tree leaves here. This is going to get a little thicker here. The catch is this is almost going to act like a barricade a little bit to the to the stuff. All right. So we're kind of working out this tree a little bit. Tree's going to go to here. I want some pretty awesome lighting that can like be established on the tree there. Let's do a little bit of lighting on this. And then similarly, like there's going to be another tree like right here, probably. These are like those thinner trees. And then some bushes. Definitely some bushes. And let's get like some of these bigger trees. Like this will be one that has like a little bit of that. This is one that's going to kind of diverge. This part is going to be more just kind of like lost in darkness shrubbery back here. Oh, get that part a little bit. Push and pull a little bit here. Okay. And do like the idea of like kind of keeping it real simple behind them. And then we're going to have these kind of slim trees that are going to be here. do want to kind of get in there and we can start erasing out some of this weaker soft stuff over here. I like the idea of this being lower. Let's see what's... Okay, cool. I thought like some kind of music was playing or something. I was a little concerned. Can you guys still hear me okay? I know there's like not a ton of people in chat, but hopefully you guys are getting okay audio. I know I'm being a little more quiet on this stream than I usually am. And I'm usually, I think, rocking a little more entertainment, but today is like a break it down and draw day, you know? Get the drawing going. So this is going to be kind of roughly what we're doing here. And then we're going to have I like the idea of this cityscape. So let's do that. Philip was saying, I can still hear you 100%. That's awesome. Thank you, Philip. Okay, this is going to be an interesting experiment in just kind of like sketching, like working this page out. So this right here is like a long building. And again, we're just kind of working out like the very middle details here. I like the idea of that kind of carrying over to here. Maybe like a little bit of tree business here too. But don't like that tangent. Don't like that tangent. We're gonna have this kind of go to like almost like a bush instead. So there's no tangent there. So I did not like that tangent at all. Okay. And then we're gonna do just a little bit of, because at this point we're drawing on the rough. It's kind of an interesting thing. So this is going to be roughly like viewing the same thing, but with water, I guess. And then here we're going to have our building again. That's going to be like kind of square topped here. And then we're going to go back here. I should save. That's a good thing to do. I'm going to have these kind of two towery things going on there. And then the eye of Sauron is going to be right up. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. That would be funny. Okay. That would be funny to me. That not funny to anyone else. All right. So here we go. We're going to have like our thing over here. And then I do like the idea of eventually this will start giving way to like some of the more foresty stuff. And start to come into play here, slightly in the background. And then it will gather up steam as it goes further along, like over to here, where we're going to have almost like a tree of its own. A tree of its own. And then this is going to be where we start having like some real tree action going on. Okay. So again, like just barely kind of working this out. Philip said, I don't know. I find that pretty funny. The Eye of Sauron just randomly appearing in a historical fiction book about Elizabeth Barrett Browning. All right. So thank you, Philip. Thank you for appeasing my goofball nature. All right. So I got this kind of heading into the skyline. We're going to have like, this is going to be definitely some water going. So, and that water might carry out a little bit through the thing. The bridge is going to have just a little bit of shading. And then here, I want to have this be a really clear arc. So, because this is going to guide the viewer. So we're going to have this as like this is going to be a picket fence kind of thing. And that is going to lead out from here. Oh, I want it to lead from here. And that's going to lead to like some stuff. Some tree action. Cue the 70s porn music, said Philip. That's right. Bounce down trees. Anyhow, all right. So here comes the trees again. I think the tree here, I like the idea of this arcing a little more clearly. I just want it to be clear that the path is going to continue on. Okay. And then this is going to make this is going to be a bunch of different kind of bushes. And let's differentiate them a little bit by maybe these go back a little bit. And then this path could kind of go back into the distance a little bit. So we have like ourselves a very rough thing. And then the sky is going to be here. Maybe we'll have like some birds. It'd be good to have some birds. And maybe we want like a swan or something here. So I'm going to have like a swan chilling. Because why wouldn't you have a swan just hanging out there? And then there's going to be, let's do another, like a duck or something that's like over here. I don't want it to be a monster duck. But I think having like a duck that's just kind of floating through there. Again, roughs, you guys, roughs. And then maybe like a little duck here or something too. Maybe there's some lily pads too. Okay. I think that'll do it for a rough of panel 1. So now I'm getting kind of stoked about this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this out. Oh my goodness. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can kind of get it to connect a little bit. So I'm thinking, initially I was thinking I'd have it all as like one solid piece. But the more I think about this, the more I think it'll actually make more sense to have it as like a separate kind of thing, a separate affair that all kind of connects. So it all ends up interwoven. Let's see here. Let's go to borders. Oh, borders. Okay. Whew. We're getting there, you guys. We're getting there. It is chaos, but we are totally getting there. All right. I'm going to take another real quick break just because my brain needs to. But I do think I like the idea of the eye following down here. So that separating the borders thing may not be a good call. I guess we'll have to find out. That's the joy of this kind of thing. All right. Well, I'm going to turn off that that reference there. Where was it? There it is. And I'm thinking actually this second reference might end up being like the middle a little bit, like the garden. So we're kind of making Regent's Park like an amalgam of parts of the park that existed. And we're keeping this Frank King kind of thing going as like our inspiration too. And I do have guides that I drew. So before I take a break, let's get into those guides. Let's get into those guides, you guides. Okay, Arabelle is going to rush to embrace Elizabeth, followed by Henrietta. So, okay. And I have my little thumbnail there for how it's going to go too. But let's go back to our, it's like a chaotic page, you guys. This page is the Lord of Chaos page. Okay, let's see, view extras. Got it. So what I want to do is I'm going to create the border that's going to go like so. It's going to go a little higher, like so. And then it's going to go like here. And then I think that I want the bottom panels to be just a little bit wider. So this will go a little bit further down to here. Then we're going to have this go like this. This go like this. This go like this. And then we're going to get rid of this. This is just, again, like a rough. It's just showing like what the panel border is going to look like. Now let's turn off the view extras. And let's see what we can do here on the, is that a correct spacing that I've just established here on that for that kind of border rough? Okay, it's not. It's too wide. Way too wide. Okay. This is great to work this stuff out before you kind of rule it out. Like to me, I rule out my panel borders in Adobe Illustrator once I'm like ready to go to final. But it's so good to like rule a lot of these considerations out first, because by the time it comes to like final, it's like if you have the whole thing comped out and you know exactly where you're going, like it just makes the whole process like a million times quicker when it comes to the final. Plus, you know, I'm working out a lot of the background, a lot of the research, a lot of the character gestures and like the acting. So it's like, in theory, this should go a lot quicker. Okay, so that's my border. It's good. Okay. And this is going to say, oh, how I have missed you is going to be one of the type things. So let's go back to our rough. I'm going to move this down, merge down. And then we're going to do Arabelle excitedly is going to be rushing joyfully to embrace Elizabeth. So that's going to be the panel, but real quick, I'm just going to disappear for a second. So I will play the trailer for Jacob's Apartment again, and then I will be right back, and we're going to rock and roll through this. It's almost 1, but maybe we'll get through the page. I don't know. It's just unfortunate because it has like 5 people in each panel too, so it might take a little bit longer. All right, here we go. Here is Jacob's Apartment trailer again.
Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we be these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams.
All right, so we're back, and I'm focused. I have my coffee, and we're going to basically just carry this through. So what I want to do is actually move some of this stuff, like my thumbnail. I'm going to need to look at that in a second, but it has the general gist. I know it's like weird and hard to interpret from that tiny little thumbnail, but it has the general gist of how I'm going to lay out this page. So, and then this is good to keep on hand because it's showing me kind of the pacing. But what we're going to do is this page is actually going to read from left to right, and then from the bottom right to the left, and then lead back down. So it's going to be like a backwards, like a Z basically, but it's going to read in that order if I can pull it off. Hopefully I can pull it off, because the sad thing is if I show this to my publisher and they're just like, no, just do it standard. So it's the onus is on me to pull this off. All right, so I don't know what this head is here or whatever, so we'll get rid of it. We're gonna get rid of our extras. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of like bring this down, like, so this will kind of come over here, and this will be like kind of like almost like a scenic route. So it's almost going to be like the side here a little bit too. We're doing an approximation, you guys, of these things. But I like the idea of that carrying through to all the different panels. And then I will have some shrubbery and stuff too. So I'm going to go ahead and work out that sequence just a little bit. And the one thing that's going to hint to people, the reason I put that tree there, I might put one over here too, is like it's going to lead people from the tree. The tree's going to go all the way down to here and kind of like lead folks to like know to like continue to this page. So there's going to be some grass that kind of spills over, maybe some shrubs, maybe some of those like little nubbin things that I'm going to mostly work out this one first, but at least in this case, maybe we'll continue some of those, like the swan kind of thing. Maybe there'll be like a swan here. It's going to be like a giant swan. That's one thing I have to remember is to keep the scale. Like, I don't want things getting bigger as they come. You have to like fight your instinct as an artist to like naturally do stuff in perspective with a page like this. Because it's like, I don't want a giant swan. So there we go. Chris K said, monster swans. Nice. How's it going, Chris? I'm trying like a weird kind of ambitious page here where there's a park scene and it made me think of the park. And I was like, I'm doing comics. I need to do something like in this comic every 5 pages or so. I want to do something only comics can. Because otherwise, like, why make comics? You know, like we should be doing things that only comic books can do. So hopefully that'll read that like people need to kind of follow down to this panel. Philip said, I'm actually rereading Jacob's Apartment. Nice. What did you think, Philip? I don't know if I ever got your take on it. Be honest. Was it terrible? Chris Kawagua, too, good friend of mine from college, really talented illustrator. Obviously, you guys should check his stuff out. He's usually as either Chris Kawagua or Sketchboy01. He just made the coolest homage to our lost friend on Instagram. He made like a ramen monster that you can see on his Instagram. And it's just incredible and kind of made me get all choked up. Is really really quite sweet, Chris, that project. Okay, so we're gonna do I'm gonna just block in these characters first because I don't know. I actually don't know how I'm gonna do this yet. So I kind of worked it out in the thumb though. So let me pull that thumb back. So the thumbnail, the tree might be kind of a pain in the butt here. Chris said, hello all. Hello, Chris. Hello. All right. So she's going to be saying, oh, how I have missed you. So that's another thing. There's going to need to be a speech bubble. Okay. So I'm going to block in the characters just as shapes right now. So it is Arabelle rushing joyfully to embrace. Oh, perfect. Okay. So Elizabeth's going to be here. And we don't want to mess with scale here. And that's the catch with the Frank King thing. That's why it works. You can mess with scale a little bit, but it's like I want them to be similarly sized. So Elizabeth is going to be her head's going to be down like this. And this is going to be Arabelle, who's going to be here. And they're going to be embracing. And this is like a sweet moment, you know, because it's like she literally is at this point in the story, like her dad has pretty much written her off just to act, like right after they had a kid. And I just can't imagine, like, as I've gotten older, it's like I get real emotional about like kid stuff, you know, like if you got grandkids, you don't write your person off. Okay, so that's going to be them. We're going to have Robert here. Robert's going to have his arms kind of, he's going to be kind of arms back. We might mess with the perspective just a little bit, just to make it a little bigger. Arms back here. And then the kid, where is the boy? The little boy is going to be here. Maybe he's got like an arm up like, hi. I like that, actually. Okay. So he's going to have his arm up. He's going to be over here. And then we're going to have the posse. So here's the other girl who's going to be running. So she's going to be running down the path to see Elizabeth. Get some gesture there. And then we're going to have, that might be the worst gesture pose, but it kind of works. And then we're going to have, oh, and her parasol. So maybe she's got like her parasol back here. Maybe the parasol for Elizabeth, because she's going to be doing so much hugging, wasn't a good prop. I think I have to ditch the old parasol. Goodbye, parasol. Just didn't make sense as a prop. But you guys, when you read the final, will be able to say that you knew there was a parasol in that panel originally. Okay, so that's going to be her friend. Philip said 3/4 down views I always found kind of tricky. Yeah, and I'm not doing like a straight 3/4 until it comes down here. So it's like up here, it's just like a sort of normal perspective, and then it's going to kind of warp. I'm not quite going to be as slick as Frank King was. Although he's not technically like, he's not fully, actually that one he cheats a little bit too. So that's okay. But if I were being like real smart, maybe I would stick to isometric for this, but I don't know. What fun is that? Okay, we're going to have the guys back here. Guys are going to be like, he's going to be kind of just strolling. And maybe we'll have back here off panel one of the guys too. So we can kind of see that like there's a little bit of action going on here. Like we're not seeing the whole group, you know, we're kind of following them as they train through. I like that. Okay, so that's the layout. Now I need to figure out Elizabeth's speech bubble. Elizabeth is here. So her speech balloon is going to need to be, oh my gosh, I might need to move Robert and her boy. Okay. We're going to get there, you guys. This is one of the fun things about comics and illustration is like the weird math part where you have to kind of work out the maths. What the heck was I doing this on the thumbnail layer for? All right, nice maths here. I always found it really cool and interesting that in England they call it maths. And for the longest time, I thought that was like just England being weird and improper. And then I think it actually makes more sense. Like the more I've thought about it, I've thought about this maths thing for a long time, you guys. And because it's mathematics, maths actually kind of makes sense more than math. I think. Or not. I don't know. What's your opinion on the maths versus math problem? And then this is going to be her saying, "Oh, how I have missed you." Thank God it's a short type thing because okay, they're going to have to move a little bit. I liked the dynamism of having that create like kind of an arch, but it's not working. Okay, that's going to have to move here. Now we're going to have some space. So we're going to have it say, "Oh, how I have..." Oh, I don't want to have orphans here. "Oh, how..." oh, how I have missed you. And that's going to just come from here. Oh my gosh. And sorry, kid, your arm is going to move over to here. Hi. I'm a little kid saying hello. Parasol means for the sun. Blew my mind when I learned this. I didn't know that either. That's from Chris. He said you learn about colors and maths at university. And then Philip said it sounded like I said work out the meth. I hope not. No meth, please. None of that around here. Not around these parts. All right. So we're going to do this rough. I like this. I like what's going on here. I'm liking the action. So this is good enough to me to like start merging some of these down. Merge down. Merge down. One thing I love about comics, though, is like you kind of start really working this stuff out. So this is going to be Robert. We kind of know roughly what we're going to have here. He's going to have his beard. So we're going to kind of work that out. I know he's got a high collar because they all did back then. I know that he is here. He's got his arms back. And he is going to be kind of holding his coat a little bit. Coat's going to go down here. This arm is back here too. He's got his arms back. And we're going to have him and his feet. They have these long shoes from back then, so it's going to be very long shoes. Cool. There's Robert. Now we've got this really weird outfit. This is going to be a fun one to work out. This is a little pen, little baby pen, Elizabeth's little child. He's going to have this like weird kind of to be or not to be tube outfit. It's a very strange kind of dress thing that they have him in, but that's what he's in. So that's what we're going to do. Add a little bit of shadow so that's a little clearer. This is going to be Elizabeth, who is hugging her friend. I want to get in there a little bit. Might need to erase a little bit of this so it's a little clearer what's going on. Okay, we got Elizabeth. She's got her Elizabeth hair. It's going to be very clearly distinct. She's going to have her... What kind of dress is she wearing? I can't remember. Okay. She's wearing like that fur coat thing that we saw earlier. So this is going to be the big fur coat. She's got her arm kind of wrapped around her friend, who is wearing a black coat that kind of ends right here. Sort of comes up to this little puff ball. And her friend is going to have be giving her a big hug. So this is going to be the other hand of her friend. Again, these are roughs. We're just kind of working out the logistics a little bit. This is going to be her friend with similar hair. So similar hair, but she's got like that tiara thing that is not going to go up that big, but that's okay. And Elizabeth is going to have a belt that's like high up. Wait, was that belt on Elizabeth or on the lady? No. Okay. Elizabeth's coat actually goes down to here. So Elizabeth's coat. And then this is going to be Arabella. And Elizabeth has like a 3-tiered skirt on. So that's good to remember. So here's Arabelle just kind of leaning in. One nice thing about drawing Victorian people is you get to hide tons of detail in these ridiculous skirts. And I think Elizabeth's like, this is one of those kind of older Victorian things. So it actually goes up a little bit there. Cool. There we go. And we've got her friend with the action parasol pose. This is her other relative. This is Henrietta. Henrietta is going to be eagerly running forward. Henrietta has kind of like a very short hairstyle. It's like kind of got like a bun in the back. And she was wearing, now I can't remember what Henrietta was wearing. I think she was wearing just like a regular kind of puffy, light colored thing. And her arm is going to have to be clarified a little bit. This is going to be her hand holding her parasol. And what are her sleeves like? I think her sleeves are relatively puffy as well. So there we go. And now we're going to have like a little more gesture. Okay, so she's the one with the high, I was trying to remember who had the kind of higher skirt. Like she has like a belt kind of thing, but that's okay. We're just doing a rough here. And then here is going to be this guy. This is Charles John Stormy, who we had no reference of. So I've decided to have him be a little chubbier because everyone so far in this family seems really thin, and it just seems really uncharacteristic. Considering the father was a little bit more overweight, it feels like the guy who like we can't seem to find any photo references of, who ends up inheriting the fortune of the Barretts, or the Barretts, like should be like a little bit chunkier. So that's what we're doing. And also it's fun to have like representation of a bunch of different characters. He's not a bad guy. It's just, I think he should be a little more like his father. He's going to have a cane. He's got his arm going to the side. So we've got that. I'm going to have him sort of wearing a standard suit. And since that foot is forward, the other foot will be back. And I'll just pull a Rob Liefeld and hide that foot. I can imagine this like on a replay where people would be like, "Oh crap, he pulled a Liefeld, bro." Like, anyhow, sorry. All right. Philip said, "So who was that disappeared at the beginning of the story?" So that's her brother. Elizabeth lost her brother at sea, and so that's explained. I mean, unless you've been following like every stream, you know, but it's like there's a page where that's explained where when she's on the boat, they're on their boat. That gets clarified because she's like sick and kind of like inconsolable on the boat ride to Italy when Elizabeth and Robert elope. And then Wilson, the maid, which I'm kind of surprised Wilson isn't in this scene. I guess Wilson's not here. That's a little shocking though, that like Wilson, their maid, she's like loyal and everywhere and she's not in this scene. But anyhow, so Wilson, her maid, like discloses to Robert that like she hasn't ever been able to travel at sea since losing her brother at sea, and like since her brother drowned. And then she also clarifies that they have no idea, like, which by the way, all of this is true to history, but they had no idea why it capsized, because it was like a calm day. Like it's not like the ocean was all tumultuous or anything. It just like the boat just sank. That's pretty cool, actually. I'm liking that. So we finished another panel. Oh, Philip was saying, "Oh, I know you talked about it, but I couldn't remember. I was thinking it was her husband for some reason, but he's still in the story." Yeah, it's definitely not Robert Browning, because Robert outlives Elizabeth. Like historically, Robert kind of published a lot of her poems after her death too. But they had like a very like Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning are like some of those weird folks that are down in history as like one of the sweetest art couples on the planet. And they wrote like love poems to each other and stuff. It's very sweet. But what's going to happen in this story, and I'm not going to give away too much, but I will say there might be seances. And like, so part of the reason there might be seances is Elizabeth might be trying to reach out to kind of make contact because she feels so much guilt over the loss of her brother. So that might or might not be happening. All right. We're halfway there, guys. Whoa. Okay. Now we got to kind of work this out a little more. So I'm going to save. Adam said, "Are you going to be on much longer?" Probably for about like 40 minutes or so. I just have to work on this for a little bit longer. How are you doing, Adam? Yeah, the rough part of this is like trying to kind of work out this crazy page. So I'm actually, Adam, you'd get a kick out of this because you're a comics history nerd. So I'm doing one of these tricks, the Frank King, what I like to call the Frank King. So, oh, and then Adam said, "I'm streaming right now, but I might switch to your stream." Nice. And then Adam said, "Working on Toad Road Comics #2. Well, I mean, I'll only be streaming till 2, so I would hate to like cut your stream short. You know, if Adam, if you're already like on a roll. I would even be like watching your stream. It's just like if I hear there's like parts of the process like this part where I can't even listen to like a podcast or anything because I need to like really focus, especially because I'm trying to pull off this kind of page where it's going to read kind of like that. So, but speaking of, I'm going to disappear for like 2 seconds. I will be shortly back. I like to have a little power break between panels just to keep my back from like dying and stuff like that. I hope you guys are doing good. I'm going to play the trailer for 2 stories and then we'll get right back into this. And I'm actually excited because it's working so far, which is crazy. This is a hard thing to pull off, at least for me. All right, here we go. All right, I'm ready to rock. Ready to rock this business. So let's get into yet another comped out page. So we'll kind of make this work. And I've still got a good like 50 minutes. So who knows? Maybe we can get, maybe we can finish. I doubt it. The downside today was like I had to work on some revisions of the roughs that I did yesterday. Not like huge revisions, but it ate into my rough time today a little bit, which is the nature of the beast. They were all reasonable revisions too. But the revised roughs are good and ready to go. I'll probably get approval for those tomorrow, which is part of why I do these chunks of roughs so my publisher can kind of peek at it. It's also super helpful for me to like map out like what exactly, like trying something crazy like this. Okay, the next part is going to be her gesturing to her family. Shake hands with Robert. This is Robert Weidman, but we call him Penn. Penn, these are your aunts and uncles. That's a lot of text. So I'm going to actually have, I got to work out the staging before I work out the text. Usually I try to work out, well, okay. Our little swan might need to move. So I'm going to cut the swan. Oh, cut the swan. That's old-timey slang, you guys. Cut the swan here, guys. Let's talk jibba jabba. See? That's what mobsters talk about, just cutting the swan. Okay. It does sound like some kind of weird, like, definitely sounds like some kind of weird slang. I hope you guys are all out there cutting the swan. Okay. I'm going to merge this down. But Adam, I don't know if you're watching. I did check out, I think you posted the AI, like you sent me a link, and I haven't been able to comment on it, but I did check it out. And it's pretty fascinating. The only thing I saw so far was on, I think, Tapas or Webtoons. I can't remember which, but it was like the puppet, like sort of like getting his eye pulled out and then like his eyeballs replaced, and it's like really creepy, but it's awesome. And it's like he kind of just becomes like, goes from being like this kind of happy cartoon to like this kind of creepy puppet. That's what I read from it. And then at the end it's like this dark evil puppet. It's really cool. um and then Adam said I just finished my stream. Yeah, the ventriloquist. Yeah, so I checked it out. It was interesting. So I've only seen the first installment, but I'm excited to see kind of where it goes. It is fascinating. Like Adam is working on a completely AI generated comic. And then Adam, was it on Tapas or Webtoons so people can seek it out? I'm pretty sure it was on Tapas, but I don't want to misguide people to the wrong posting site. Okay, this is going to say shake hands with my Robert. Okay, let's do this. Shake. Oh, why am I doing lowercase here? Shake hands with my Robert. That sounds really naughty. Have you ever shaked hands with my Robert? You guys, we're coming up with all sorts of slang here. Shaking hands with someone's Robert and cutting swans, right? This stream is just full of like all sorts of new deep cut slang that will go down for generations. Sam T said, "Hey Adam." Oh, and then Adam said Sam T has joined from the stream I was doing. He's a fellow artist, does cool 90s and 80s style comics and cartoonings. Cool. Nice, Sam. That's awesome. Welcome. And then Adam said it's on Tapas. So the ventriloquist is on Tapas. I don't know, Adam, if you're streaming after this, because I know I'm going till about 2. I also know like sometimes you are up in the burning the midnight oil. So if you are, I can shoot people over your way once I'm wrapped. This is Robert, but I appreciate you coming over. That's fun. Weidman. Nice. Adam said, I probably will stream for another 8 hours after this, unless I will not have enough hours on StreamYard to use. Cool. So, and then he said, I keep running out of hours, like 1 or 2 streams. Oh, I forgot that they like limit hours. That sucks. Robert Weidman, but we call him Penn. And then I'm trying to remember if I was going to break this into 2. I need to look at my really unintelligible rough. Okay, this is her introducing her family. So that's how I broke it. Okay, that actually makes sense, because I was like, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to have it broken in any other way. Okay, so we'll call that the type, and then we're gonna get into. I'll draw the thing after I figure out how I'm gonna do this. So this is gonna be Robert. Robert's gonna be here. Robert will be here. Okay, here it's going to be more of just like they're all standing kind of like almost the same. So we'll just start it out same kind of way, where what should Robert be doing? Should he have his arm on his, okay. He's going to have his arm on his side. No, that's too hostile. His arm's going to be on Penn. Okay. So his arm will be around Penn. And then we're going to have him here. So that'll be Robert. This is going to be Penn. He's going to be here. So similar thing. Actually, Penn should be a little closer to his daddy. Maybe he's got his like hand on his leg. Okay. And Penn's going to be head up looking. Penn will be here. He is not an ape, so his arms are not that long. And then we'll have... Adam was asking, who is that Flubber guy? Yeah, there was a... We were joined by a person named Witch and another by Flubber. And I think it was like Flubber my butt or something. I don't know. It was something ridiculous. So yeah, that was an interesting one. I'm guessing they were trolls. I was planning on possibly kicking them, but I think they ended up leaving. So I was like, I need my Frank Salazar. Like, you know, usually Frank's on the streams. Maybe. Actually, that makes a little sense. Like, if you guys were streaming, I'd imagine Frank was probably hanging with you. I usually try to avoid crossing the streams too, so I apologize, Adam. Wasn't trying to cut into your stream as well. So this is her. She's going to be, you know what? She should be facing here. She's going to be like here. Her arm is going to be saying like, this is my husband, Robert. Got it. And this is my son. Cha-cha. She's doing like a ta-da. Cool. And then we're gonna have Arabelle here. She's gonna be sort of eagerly. She's gonna be kind of moving forward because in the next panel it'll make a little more sense. So she's going to have her thing going there. And then we're going to have her sister is going to have caught up. And this will be the Parasol sister. And then we're going to have the dude. Dude's going to be up a little more. They can be kind of up here just a little bit. Cutting into that just a tad bit. So we're going to have our hat guy. He's a big dude. And then we're going to have our other dude. This, I keep calling him hat guy and other dude, Alfred. This will be Alfred Daisy. Hello, my name's Alfred Daisy. I feel like a little robbed, like of our, I don't know. I never had, did you guys have any nicknames growing up like that? It feels like a very Victorian, or maybe it's just like the Barretts or something, but like they all have like nicknames where it's like, hey, this is so-and-so Daisy. Like this is Henrietta, Charles John Stormy. And I looked into it. The history of why Charles John Stormy is called Stormy is he was born during a storm. It's like, but then the guy ends up, because he's born during a storm, he's like called Stormy for like his whole life. What a weird thing. I don't know. Maybe that's just not in my family, but like did any of you guys have like a family nickname that like was like, hey, you were born during a storm, so your name is Stormbringer? Like, I don't know. I think that's pretty rad. Adam said one of my nicknames was Scoop. Nice. Oh, Adam was saying, yeah, Frank was on for a little while, then he had to go. Okay. And then Skinny was a family nickname. Interesting. So I guess the family nickname thing might be like a kind of normal event. I guess maybe it's just my family didn't do nicknames. Then again, I do have a nickname for one of my sisters. My sister who writes this book, actually, named Lavender. There was one time where we were at Starbucks and somebody called out her name for like a coffee, and they said Slabadeer, and I have called her that for ever at family gatherings. Don't pass that information on. But it was pretty funny. It was like, hey, Slabadeer. Like, I just think that's hilarious. Like, why would somebody ever be named Slab of Deer? But at a Starbucks, that was a pretty funny one. I guess my new nickname for myself is Kremble. So there's that. There's Kremble because at TCAF, they thought my name was Kremble. So Kremble is my, like, if I do like crazy high art stuff, it's going to be like under Kremble. That's going to be my artist name. Okay, guys, we have 30 more minutes. So we got through about 3 panels. It sucks too, because I'm like nice and loose. This is one thing that a lot of you guys will notice as you work on art, or like probably have noticed, where it's like when you're doing roughs, you get in this zone where you can knock them out real quick because you get all loose and like confident with your line. And it's like, now I can't. Now I'm gonna, like, right when I get in the zone, I'm gonna have to go to sleep. But that's a good thing, because if I push it, like yesterday was definitely like a very close to burnout day where I was gonna work last night, and then I ended up, sleeping. Like, which for most people they'd be like, oh, you slept at like 9 o'clock. That's good for you, But for me, it's like it's not something I can afford to be doing a ton. But with things like that, also being human, it's like I accept my limitations. And sometimes, like, there's nights where you just kind of have to listen. Like, if your body's just like, dude, you're exhausted, go to sleep. Like, you kind of, there's an extent to where you have to kind of listen to that. So to me, I don't want to have that happen every night. So I'm definitely going to make it a hard out at 2 o'clock. But what's cool is if you guys are still awake at 2 o'clock, when I cut out, I think the party shall continue on Adam Lore's stream. And I'm trying to kind of get in the habit of doing that anyway, because I like that idea in our community. Like, me and Marsh did that a couple days ago, where we sort of swapped streams, and it was fun. It was just a cool idea. Since we have like a community of people like streaming, I was thinking about it, but it's like, dude, we in theory could be just like eternal. Like, if you wanted to, you could probably keep the streams going, all day long. And I think that would be cool if our community gets there, Yeah, Adam was saying the past few days have been awesome to go from your stream to Marsh to Dee and back to you. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, like on Saturday too, I was like on Gary's stream, and then that night I was like, he was like hanging out in the chats on my stream. It's just like a lot of fun. Okay, here is Arabelle, who, again, I want to kind of keep in mind that costume. Oh, wait, this isn't Arabelle. This is going to be straight up Elizabeth. This is her introing her family to her family. And this is like that sort of crazy jacket she's wearing, which is kind of puffy sleeved. Doing a kind of presenter sort of vibe. Big sleeves. And then it cuts in at the waist. And then it kind of comes out like that. And this hand needs to be clarified a little bit too. Nice. Adam said getting Jacob's apartment in the mail tomorrow, later today. Excited. Chris said, I met another Kemble in the wild. Pretty sure you're related, at least distantly. I'm curious who that Kemble was. It's funny. There's another Joshua Kemble. And for years, I think I've told this story on stream before, but for years, like this is like back when I was an atheist, I'd get so mad because he was like a Christian punk singer. And I was like, for years, like if you looked up Joshua Kemble, this guy would show up. And I was just like, what the hell? People are going to think I'm like a Christian punk singer. And so like I had this kind of little goal where I was like, okay, I'll let him have Josh. And I'm going to be known as Joshua online, and I'm going to outrank him on Google search. That was my goal. And then I finally got there. And then like, it's funny because my life path has brought me closer to like where he is. And so like, it's hilarious because years later, after I was like saved and stuff like that, his wife like messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, like, you're a like crap load like my husband. Like she was basically saying like you guys need to hang out and be friends. Like, and so now we're friends on Facebook because we're both like people who don't like the kind of overtly like lame Christian culture stuff. But we're both believers and like we both make art and we both like also think that like gay people should have rights and like so it's like we're kind of in that weird minority of like non-Trumpian like Christians. And like anyhow, it was just a funny like little coincidence of like I thought it was awesome. And actually what's funny is his band's not bad. Like they're not bad at all. But I just like I remember really just hating that for the longest time. But it's funny how life works that way, I guess. I don't know. I thought that was a funny story. Let's see here. Adam said there's a jazz musician from New York who used to always come up if I search my name. That's funny. You might have actually met one of my relatives though, Chris, like the Kemble you met in the wild. I like the way you phrased that too, because it really does sound like you were on like a safari. Oh, this was going to be Arabelle. I was doing the wrong hair there. I made her the other sister, Henrietta. The other sister. That was a horror movie, I think, from what I remember. But anyhow, so Sam T said, I'd like to hear that band. I like the Christian punk rock stuff. I think that's what he said. Chris said, do your relatives trace back to the New York area? There's some relatives I might have in New York. I guess, so like on the Kemble side, actually, like my whole dad's side of the family was like Chicago area for the longest time, and Toronto, Indiana, like that kind of thing. But there's definitely a likelihood you might have met like one of my cousins or something. I don't know. Could have met my brother. I don't know. It's interesting. But it is funny. I mean, I don't think Kemble's like. It's a pretty weird last name though. It is kind of rare to meet another Kemble. It's becoming less rare because because my brain is trying to do two things at once. Okay, hang on. Let's see here. I want to really clarify a little bit what's going on here. Okay, cool. And she's going to be kind of gradually moving towards Robert because she's going to give Robert a big old hug. This page is actually working, I think. I'm kind of surprised. Like it's fun when you take on something kind of ambitious and it starts coming together. I think there's something to be said for this. And I wonder if you guys have this too, where there's times where I'll take on an illustration or a design and I will think of something that would be cool, but it instantly gives me like almost like a paralyzing fear. Like when I thought of this, I was like, oh man, that would be doable in this scene. But I also was filled with like, oh crap, like could I even pull that off kind of moment. And that actually has brought out a new instinct in me that like when I was a younger artist, I would avoid the challenge like the plague. But as an older artist now, I'm like much more like interested in that, like living in that, where it's like, dude, let's work this out. Let's make this happen. You know, I think Chris would probably remember this, but I think when I started getting more in that mindset of like taking on the challenge was like back when Chris, you and I were doing a lot of t-shirt art, because quite often, like, you know, you'd come up with a crazy idea and you're like, well, can I pull that off? You know? And then like, it's the challenge of pulling it off that actually kind of makes it fun, you know? Like, I don't know. At least to me. Like to me, I've learned to lean into that kind of thing and be like, okay, let's take this crazy challenge. Let's get this thing comped out. The tough part about this is going to be after the fact, after I have the whole rough worked out. So like do the final will be like less fun because it's like, okay, now I know it can be done. But this like working it out stage is really cool. And I don't know if like for you guys this is all that interesting, but to me this is going to be like an amazing page, you know, like when I'm done, like not right now, but once this page is done, if I can pull it off and do it in like a timely fashion, I feel like this will be like one of those good moment pages, you know. Maybe it'll be something that somebody gets to and has like a real cool moment of like, wow, cool, you know, like, which is what we're trying to do, is give people like that aha moment, you know. Chris was saying there's a Dr. Kemble that I met one time who was framed for the murder by a one-armed man. My dad used to get that a lot growing up, because like you got to think when my dad was a kid, you know, that was like the hottest thing on TV was The Fugitive, like before the movie came out, you know? So like he used to tell me about it, like, and make one-armed man jokes. And like as a kid, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about because I was like, what is this? And then The Fugitive came out, and then everyone did the same thing to my dad and to me. They'd be like, oh, you're like, yeah, like the one-armed man jokes and stuff. And you're like, whoa, this is crazy. It's like the thing my dad's been talking about like my whole life. So be careful, you guys. Like if you're a youngin' out there and you're thinking like, oh, that's an old reference, like nobody's going to do that anymore. It might come back because we're obsessed with recreating the past. Let's see. What are your thoughts on Jeff discontinuing the Berserkernaut series? I think that you need to have. I think that for Jeff, I think it's the right call. And I like, here's the thing: as a fan, I'd love to see where it goes, but I'm kind of on board with wherever Jeff takes us. Like, I love Jeff's art, and dude, the pages he's doing. I don't know if you've seen like the amazing, like, I think. Oh, for anybody listening, Adam's asking about Jeff Lafferty, and to fill you guys in, like Jeff did a stream recently where he said he was kind of going to ditch Berserkernaut and kind of start working on a Western. And he kind of went into the reasons why, like he decided to kind of drop it. And I'm kind of all for it. Like, and that's not saying like if he wanted to continue Berserkernaut, cool, but like he's doing these amazing Western pages now and it looks so good. So I feel like he needs to go wherever he wants to go. And I feel like the nice thing about the Berserkernaut, it's not like it left on like this giant cliffhanger. And so he could always pick that back up. But I feel like to pigeonhole himself to like that, if he's not feeling it, I don't know. You know, I'm weird. Not everybody's like me. And that's okay. Like I'm the guy who like I will live with a book for like 5 or 6 years and just plug away at it until it's done, you know, and it's like this epic thing. And I tend to be a fan of that, but I also think like I think if Berserkernaut were like on this like ended on this like really crazy unresolved point, you know, and had like a real like rich crazy developed storyline that was going on, then I'd feel like it was like a cop out and he should finish. But it's like the fact that like I don't know, it kind of ran its course for him. He wants to move on to the next thing. I'm excited about the next thing, and honestly, like I really love the thing he's doing, so I'm very excited about that. Philip said, not sure if you'll see this, but I need to call it here. The back is aggravating me again, and I think that's my cue to hit the sack. Okay, Philip, before you go, I'm going to do this one thing, which is I'm going to go to full cam, and then I'm going to show off Philip's amazing caricature that he did of me. Do you guys see that? That's amazing. Thank you again, Philip. Like, literally, that caricature made my day. You're a rad artist, and you guys should all be subscribed to Philip Chandler's channel as well. I'm going to try to hop on his stream tomorrow, although, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to talk and do this, but I'm going to try. I'll give it a shot. I might be very uninteresting and very like I'd like to come on, so I'm going to give it a shot, but like I also worry that I'll be like missing things people say and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyhow, we'll talk about it. And then Philip said, I'm glad I found it and shared it with you. And Chris Caligu said, haha, that's great. Well captured. Anyhow, we'll figure it out. All right. Well, we finished another, and I usually will break but I feel like at this point we should just power through and see how far we can get. So this is going to say Arabelle's going to embrace Robert in this panel. And wait, not yet. Oh, Arabelle is going to... Oh, no. Okay, this is going to be the pen. These are your aunts and uncles. So, okay. This is going to be... for a second there, I thought I had erred, but I hadn't. So, okay, we're going to have this say, pen, these are your aunts and uncles. Wait a minute. I also need to think design here. All right, so this is going to need to have a tree again. So I want to have another tree, but like maybe just the top. I want it to be kind of... Just because I want these trees to be able to kind of lead into the next panel. Like the trees are going to act as like an indicator to kind of bring you from like one page to the other. Does that make sense? Because it's like without that indicator that you're going to kind of go like that, then you wouldn't know. But if this continues on to the next panel, then it'll kind of pull it all together as like a little subconscious message. Okay. Cool. Okay. Adam said, you should consider printing a book of your roughs sometime. Compared to many artists, your thumbnails and layouts are works of art in themselves. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've thought about like doing a comic in the style of these. It'd have to kind of stylistically fit, but I do think it would be fun to kind of do a whole story that's a little bit further, but kind of in the style of the roughs. So yeah, that's definitely something I'd consider. Okay, now we're going to have the type that's going to say something about... Now it can be up here or something. So it's going to say, pen, these are your aunts and uncles. Pen, these... Oh, Philip said, if this Wednesday isn't good, we can do it another night. But yeah, we'll chat later. Cheers, mate. Good night, all. Good night, Philip. Oh, thanks, Adam. Adam said your layouts are often good enough where you could use those as a comic themselves. That's cool. That would be awesome. Pen. These, okay. These are your aunts and uncles. Okay. That's going to do for that. And then we're going to real quickly block in where we're going to have all these people. Frank said, Josh, don't tell Adam, but I ditched his stream to come here. Frank, we missed you, man. There was some weird stuff happening in the chats. If you scroll up, you can see like we had a person named Witch. We had another one named Flubber, like Flubber me butt or something. It was, yeah, it was an interesting set of people that we missed our moderator. And then Frank said, "Oh, hey, Adam." Okay. Speaking of, I have about 10 minutes left of this stream. So if you guys want more stream in action, you should join. You should cruise from here to Adam's channel when I'm wrapped up, which I will be very shortly. Because Adam Lore is going to be probably streaming a little bit as well. Okay, so what do we got here? What was I going to do? Okay, we've got Robert. Robert's going to be here. Maybe Robert can be like kind of pushing Penn forward a little bit. I like that idea. I have Robert kind of crouching down. He's going to be sort of pushing Penn like forward a little bit. So he'll be like here, kind of going like, "Go ahead, Penn." And then Penn's going to be like, he's going to be doing the nervous kid, excited kid thing, but the nervous kid thing. Because that's a thing parents will realize. Kids get nervous when they first meet somebody, usually. And then this is going to be her saying, "These are your aunts and uncles." She's going to be kind of crouched down as well. And then we're going to have her aunts. Oh. This may not actually work, but we'll see. So I want to have the ants kind of hovering over, like they're almost hovering over him. Maybe another ant will be here. This will be the one with the, I like the idea of the parasol ant being over here. Because that just works for that pose. And then we're going to have we'll have Hat Guy here. Arms crossed, maybe. Arms down, legs down. And we're going to have our poor odd man out here. Okay, that is as far as we're going to get tonight. We have 4 minutes left. Okay, maybe I can get a little further. See how far we can get with 4 minutes. Good old Hat Guy. And then Frank said he just followed Adam to his car. Oh no, Adam, be careful. Frank's coming. Okay, so let's see. So we got basic stuff here, right? Just kind of filling it out. Robert's going to be here. Okay. There's Robert's jacket. This is going to be Penn nervously looking up. Need to move Penn's head back because otherwise it's going to look like Robert is smacking his butt, and that's not what we want. Okay. A little bit better there. This little weird tube outfit. And we have 1 minute left, you guys. 1 minute. And it stinks because, like, to get back in this zone where I can just, like, draw these characters is going to take a little bit of warming up. And, but that is the cost. That is the cost of doing art. You kind of have to get in the zone. And here's the thing. I feel like, if anything, hopefully this stream has functioned as an example of, like, you know, if you guys back this up, I started this stream off just like super not in the mood, not in the mood to work, not in the mood to draw. And now here I am lost in drawing, and it sucks to have to pull myself away from it. So I think this is a case in point of like what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, where I was saying like half the job as an artist is just showing up and doing the work, even sometimes when you don't feel like it. And then this magic thing happens. And, you know, not always. Sometimes, like, you'll do it and it'll just feel like pulling teeth the whole time. But, like, most of the time, the magic of just kind of, like, getting pulled into the creative process, forcing yourself to sit down and kind of get through it and, like, try. It's a weird thing, but it's like then it takes on that reverse. And I think we've all experienced that, but it's like it takes on this beautiful reverse process where you, instead of like dreading staying awake and working or whatever, it becomes like oh crap, I got to go to sleep. It's like it just flips like that. And that's been my experience with comics the whole time. So we got almost through roughing out 4 panels. I will finish this tomorrow. I'm not going to push it as much as the artist in me wants to because I have to work tomorrow. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Adam Lohr said his live stream is set up and ready to go. I wanted to say thank you to everybody who showed up. Philip, Adam, Chris Kawagua. You know, we got Frank Salazar. We've got Sam T, who joined from Adam's chat. Thanks, Sam. Welcome. I hope if you guys haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell. so you get notifications when I'm about to go live. Let me see if anyone else I missed. I guess we have some of the there's Flubber from earlier, who was a little strange, but you know, in a good way. It can be fun. And yeah, Adam said, I wish I could loan you some of all of my free time, Josh. Well, that's okay. I kind of like there's a beauty to being busy too. So anyhow, it's a good problem to have, but it would be fun to be able to focus more readily on this. Like if I could just stay in this zone forever, it'd be really fun, but probably not so great for my health. I don't know. But anyhow, I appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out. If you haven't yet, also consider picking up Jacob's Apartment. Adam, I hope you enjoy Jacob's Apartment. I know that's arriving for you tomorrow, but if you're curious to see my graphic novels, what they look like more finished, then yeah, check that out. And I will see you guys on the next live stream. Oh, and again, Adam Lore, I'll throw that up here. Yeah, head on over to that channel. He'll be live streaming after this, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Or I should say later today.